Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Divinely Classic. You might be wondering why she's always doing videos in her car now. This is because this is the time I have, and if I wait to be at home, set up cameras, ring lights and all that, I might not get the time. So I just thought I'll just do videos in my car as often as I can. So welcome to Divinely Classic. My name is Ewan Saraboy Sangbedo. So this video is in response to a video that I watched on Instagram last night, and I was so shocked that things like that were still going on. It's about DKA. It happened in Australia, and I'm not sure when it happened, but the actual court ruling was this January, and it's about, let me just watch the video.
My daughter's had diabetes, as you know, for the last couple of years, since she was 6 years old.
Yeah.
And she has hated it since ever getting it, because she hates the needles and everything like that. So on Monday she decided she'd had enough, so I haven't given her insulin since Monday, and yesterday she just fell asleep and passed away. It's been on our mind for a while about doing this, and
tell me about that. When you say it's been on our mind, tell me about that.
It's just been, we trust in God, so we don't think that she needs the needles.
What did you think could happen if you stopped
she
the
could
insulin?
Die.
So as you've seen, the video is about father or parents who refuse their child insulin. That child, 6 years old girl, type 1 diabetic, who requires insulin. You know, diabetes, there are two main types. There's type 1, there's type 2. For type 1, they require insulin. For type 2, some might have just medication, some might have medication and insulin, and some type 2, they are even drug managed. So basically you don't have any medication for it, you just diet controlled, as it is called. But this child had a type 1 diabetes which requires insulin, and due to the parents' spiritual belief, they denied the child of insulin. According to what the dad said, according to what the dad said, the child was suffering. She was suffering, but for type 1 diabetic, insulin is a go-to. And because the child didn't have insulin, she suffered what is called diabetic ketoacidosis. And what happens is, there's no insulin. We know that insulin is what is called a glucose transporter that sends the glucose, the sugar in the bloodstream, into the cells for cellular function, basically just to do what it's supposed to do in the body. And so when there is not enough insulin, the blood is lying in the bloodstream just there, and insulin is produced by the pancreas. In type 1 diabetes, there is absolutely no insulin production at all, or it's just too minimal to do anything for the body. So you require insulin all the time, and it's also a time critical medication. If you do not give it when you're meant to give it, it can be fatal. So what's happened for this little child is she didn't have her insulin, which was deliberately withheld by her dad or her parents, and the body now decided to switch to another source of energy, because our bodies are naturally designed to use glucose as energy, but then there is another source, which is fat. And when the body switches to fat, to break down fat for energy, it releases what is called ketones. And when there is a high level of ketones in the body, it is very acidic. That's why it's called diabetic ketoacidosis. So the bloodstream is messed up. I don't know the right word to use. It's messed up, and it is a life-threatening condition. When somebody suffers from diabetic ketoacidosis, the earlier they get into accident and emergency, the better. And they don't just go anywhere. They go straight into resource so that they can be managed as soon as possible. But what happened for this little child? She wasn't given her insulin. She had DKA and she died, which is very sad. in the defense of the parents, it was more spiritual for them, because they believed that the child was going to heaven, the child was suffering, and it was against their religion to administer the medication for the child. And I'm not trying to be judgmental now, but it is sad. It is so sad that parents would do that to their child. And when I was thinking about it, actually, what came to my mind was some religion, I'm not going to mention any religion now, some religion that deny blood transfusion or decline blood transfusion. And it got me thinking, what happens when that child is a young child like this, where they don't really understand the implication of your actions, because it's not their action. They don't understand the essence of blood to them. They don't understand that if they don't have that blood, they will die. They don't understand life. And you are making that decision for them. If you're making it for yourself, that's absolutely fine. If you are within that age of consent from 18, I think, where you can make decisions for yourself to say, okay, I don't want blood, that's respected. In the hospitals, in NHS policy, it is respected. If you say, okay, I decline blood as per my religion, and there's a consent, a document to that effect, that is respected. But what about a child? What about a child? Not trying to digress now, but going back to DKA, this little girl died. This little girl could have had her insulin and lived. But she died because her parents thought she would be better off in heaven. And it's really worrying, because I am a Christian. Don't get me wrong. I am a Christian. I take medication. I don't normally like medication, but if there is need for it, I take it. If there is need for a transfusion, I will take a blood transfusion. But it's really sad. It raises a lot of questions about how religion can influence so much in our lives, and where you even begin to think, is this normal? Is this right? Can you actually do this to a child? Like I said earlier, if it was the parents that declined this insulin because they wanted to go to heaven or wherever, that's their decision to make. They are informed adults, or that's an informed decision for them, I would suppose. But for this little child, would you say this is an informed decision? And thankfully, in my opinion, the parents were charged with manslaughter. They were charged with manslaughter. And just to say, anybody that's suffering from DKA, please go to the hospital. It is a life-threatening condition. And if you're diabetic, type 1, type 2, please take your medication. If you're on metformin, your glucoside, there are lots of medication that you need to take. Or if you are on insulin, please take your medication. I just share your thoughts about this video, and I hope you have a good day. Bye-bye.